Well, my name is Adam Reese, and I live in the Brainerd Lakes area. Been here for about 10 years, and I wanted to share my story. It's a mental health journey, actually. My family has a history of mental health issues and illness on both my father's and my mother's side, and so it wasn't a surprise when I had my first experience with depression, actually, in college. Actually, it was post-college. It was shortly after college. And I was fortunate that my mother was a psychiatrist, and she really believed it was important to talk about your feelings. And so I'm actually eternally grateful to her that she rose us up in a family like that so that I could feel comfortable reaching out to her and just at a family dinner conversation and share some feelings I was struggling with. And she said, why not consider some therapy? And I did that, and it was very successful and really helped me through a challenging time. And then fast forward, busy career, marriage, children, and it reoccurred again. And I thought depression was kind of a one and done thing. My opinions have since shifted, and with a couple of reoccurrences, I realized, at least for me, it's a chronic illness. It's something that lurks in the shadows of my life, and at times it reemerges. The key for me has been learning to be more aware of sort of the early warning indicators, if you will. So what I've learned so far is that my first awareness begins with anxiety. If I'm in a highly stressful situation, this anxiety kind of creeps up, and I just can't shake it. And then that leads to sleeplessness, and that turns into kind of a chronic exhaustion. And then with the chronic exhaustion, the depression then starts to come out, and it's quite of a challenge for me. So when that reoccurred the first time, I was fortunate that I had a good primary care doctor and kind of heard my mother's voice, get help, it's okay, don't try to grin and bear this on your own. And he was very helpful and prescribed an antidepressant medication that for me worked. And with these medicines, sometimes you have to experiment a bit with them to find the right one. And then it was fast forward another kind of 5-10 years when there was another reemergence of it, same kinds of symptoms. In this case, though, I had spoken more to my wife about it. She had really helped me through this second episode, and so we were able to really head it off much more at the pass, and I thank her for that too. So as I sort of look back at this, one of the lessons I've learned, and that I hope to share with others if they have an opportunity to read my story or listen to my story, is that we need to remove the stigma of mental illness, and we need to make it okay to talk about, because the sooner we can express what's really going on, the sooner we have an opportunity to get some kind of treatment. And for those of you who will not experience depression, being a good listener, a thoughtful listener, someone who doesn't judge the other person and encourages them to get professional help, whether it's with a mental health professional, a primary care doctor, but someone who has that expertise. I know that person who's struggling like myself will be eternally grateful. The decision to be public came about a few years ago. It was while I was still working in the medical field, and we were looking at the fact that almost a quarter of our population in the Brainerd Lakes area struggles with some kind of mental illness, and depression is the most common out of all of them for adults. And we learned about an initiative in the Minneapolis area called Make It Okay, and the idea was to reduce the stigma. And I thought, this is interesting. We want to roll this out. We want to help people. And at the same time, I have a story, and maybe I should be a part of making it okay by being public with my own story. And I hemmed and hawed. I spoke to my wife about it. In fact, I called some family members up as well. And they said, well, it's okay to say that the family has a history just as long as we don't mention any names, which I haven't done. But in talking to these family members, it just became more and more apparent that, this is something that, at least for us, we struggle with. I know for other families, maybe it's heart disease. It could be some other form of a medical issue, but for us, it happens to be mental health and in particular depression. And so the idea of sharing this, what I found is, first of all, once you've done it, the anxiety or the fear or concerns immediately is gone. But secondly, what's been a real blessing is I shared it very publicly too at work, and I had a lot of people from work come up to me afterwards and said, thank you, Adam. This is something that I'm really struggling with, and I plan to now get some help. Thank you for letting me share my story.